In the entertainment production system, the shows are made by many separate yet equally important groups: the writers, actors, directors, and crew. There's a looming threat that could change all of their jobs. This is their story.
Working Law and Order, you can have, depending on the scene, you can have over 100 background working like a street scene.
Here's the exquisite lunchroom. It's a huge economy. Everybody has to eat. You're there 12 to 14 hours a day. You have camera department, wardrobe department, props department, locations department, set design department. You have guys who hold parking places in New York, and they sleep in their cars at night with a cone on top of their cars, trying to get the block reserved for parking.
A lot of people who got their start in this city got their start on things like Law and Order, where every week there needs to be a new cast of characters. The new perpetrator, the new assailant, the new red herring. Oh no, were they the one that did it? No, they didn't.
You have producers on our set watching the shoot while signing checks. It's a massive amount of money into the city of New York, and these are, for the most part, well-paid jobs. They're hard jobs. That could all go away very easily. I'm Warren Leight. Been writing for my entire life, I think, which has been rather long at this point. I was showrunner of Law & Order SVU 2 times for a total of 8 years, 160 episodes, something like that.
Artificial intelligence is only as good as the data it's trained on, and with Law & Order, there's a lot of data. Since 1990, the Law & Order franchise has produced well over 1,000 hours of television, making it the longest-running live-action franchise on primetime in U.S. history.
I started the show in 1846. I remember it like it was yesterday.
I have to imagine somebody is thinking, there's 500 episodes of SVU. How hard would it be these days with computing power where it is to feed those scripts in and understand at the end of the first act we need a turnaround?
Detectives, he's alive. He's out there.
How hard would it be to get what would be a mediocre script and then to give it to the showrunner?
In the last few years, programs like ChatGPT have made it possible to generate entire scripts in a matter of seconds, like this Law & Order script about a spate of robberies involving a mysterious robot. It may not be the most compelling episode of television, but it could save executives quite a bit of money.
I can imagine a scenario where you go from 11 writers on staff who are there from 6 weeks before shooting begins to all the way to the last day of shooting. 11 writers, 42 weeks, 462 weeks, right? Wouldn't that be simpler to have one guy in a room just rewriting AI scripts? And now you have 42 weeks of salary. And what you would lose is any human voice. The last writing room I assembled, I brought in 6 people who'd never written for television before, which angered some of the people out west. They said, you're not running a teaching hospital. And the age range was 70 to 24. What happens over time with the room is that enough trust builds up and people disclose what happened to them. It turns out most of the people in the room have some history, either, if not of their own abuse, of other abuse. People come from traumatic family situations. And so when you start to write about a kid in a home where there's a lot of abuse, and when people have experienced that growing up, they bring that into the room, they bring that into their scripts. The understanding of what it is to worry about your next meal or next month's rent. And I can't imagine not having human experience inform the scripts, inform the characters that we create. It worries me.
Of all the workers who make the show run, there's one who may be most at risk of disappearing.
Let's say it's a restaurant scene,
Detective Stabler.
and you got the 2 principals sitting at a table having a conversation, and there's nobody sitting at the tables around them. There's no wait staff coming, taking a plate off the table. What do you have? You just have 2 people talking. My name's Joe Bizet. I've been doing background about 12 years now. Mostly I play uniformed police officer or a detective. Sometimes I'll just be a pedestrian walking down the street.
Background actors make up the largest group in the Actors Union, and they're currently on the front lines of the fight over AI in Hollywood.
I got the waiver as part of the paperwork on a production I did from Central Casting. And
I got it here.
I irrevocably grant to the production company all rights of every kind and nature to the results and proceeds of all my services for the workday represented in the voucher, including without limitation all of my likenesses, poses, acts, plays, sounds, and appearances made by me to be used or not used in any manner that the production company chooses throughout the universe in perpetuity in all media, whether now known or thereafter devised. What that says is I can show up one day on set, they can scan me, and then use everything from that day forever on any project they want to use it on, without compensating me any other money.
A practice called body scanning is becoming increasingly common in the industry. Background actors are invited in for a day of scanning with dozens of cameras and little information about how their image might one day be used.
I think it sucks. They can't just pay me one day pay and say, okay, we're going to use you forever.
Studios already use VFX to turn background actors into digital crowds. AI could simply accelerate that trend.
Instead of bringing back the same 25 union background actors, maybe they only need 10, and they use the AI for the rest of it in the deep background.
If you just keep exploiting the workers as if we're some ever-renewable resource, that's when industries crumble. My name is Allisonpsycho. I have played Kathleen Stabler on Law & Order SVU and now Law & Order Organized Crime.
Dad! You have to do something!
What time is it?
My first episode, I was in the kitchen. Detective Stabler comes in and is like, Kathleen, get off the phone. And I say, but Dad, and all that angsty teenager stuff started right at the jump. Being given the opportunity to play a character for over 20 years is something I never thought I'd have the opportunity to do. It's not something many actors get the chance to do.
One day, the show might decide to bring Allison back as a teenager for a flashback, and they could use AI to do it. AI has also been used to bring deceased actors back to life, to dub movies in foreign languages, and one day it might even be used to replace actors in speaking roles entirely. Jobs would be lost, but something else might be lost too.
In season 10, we discovered that Kathleen was suffering from bipolar disorder. I went on a research spree. I really wanted to put in the work and the effort to make sure that it was done correctly.
Do you think I'm crazy? Do you feel crazy? I don't know. It's like the world is full of these tingling force fields and everything I touch makes me shimmer.
If, say, an AI program was given a character and then added on top of it was like, oh, this character will also have bipolar disorder, they might have a confirmation bias of perpetuating stereotypes and harmful views that might be the common view, but might not be the right view.
The stuff that makes us who we are, the losses, the failures, the wins, the heartbreaks, I don't know how to synthesize that.
For now, neither do the studios. They still depend on the talent of writers and actors who can see the AI-generated writing on the wall.
What it caused was a rebellion. The lack of guardrails and the lack of acknowledgement that guardrails are needed had the unintended effect of galvanizing the strike.
Even if the studios do eventually come to the table to agree on certain guardrails, the devil will be in the details.
If my script plays on the USA network at 2 in the morning, I get a residual. I get a smaller residual on Peacock, but I get a residual. What happens if you take 1/100th of my script, 1/100th of Julie Martin's script, 1/100th of Dennis Hamill's script, and this thing comes out? Do I get 1/100th of a residual? If there's a remote piece of daylight to take advantage of something that wasn't specifically excluded, they will run 100 miles with it.
I can see them doing anything right now that they want with it. There's nothing to stop them.
It's not just the writers and actors. We are fighting so that this entire industry continues and we're all adequately compensated and protected.
The fight over AI is part of a broader fight in the industry. Technological disruptions like streaming services have resulted in jobs that are lower paid and more precarious, while executives continue to rake in millions. But recent polling suggests that Americans overwhelmingly stand with the workers and support their key demands, including demands to regulate AI.
If you don't make the stand now, it's over. As a writer, I would like to see the notion that You cannot have AI generate a script. That's an absolutist position. I wonder if we can get to that.
It would only be okay if my actual consent was an integral part of them using it at all, and I was appropriately compensated because it's still my likeness, my image.
You want to use my actions and my performance, you got to pay me. I'm not doing this for free.
As much as AI could be a tool, currently I see it as plagiarism software. It's just taking what's already existed and amplifying it. A lot of times the job of the actor is taking what's already existed and digging deeper to find the nuance and to make choices to show people who are watching, hey, I'm gonna hold up a mirror to life.
The biggest thing I learned doing the show, real life SVU detectives came in to talk to the room. I said, what do you think of the show? And they're blowing smoke. Oh, it's great, we all love it. I said, well, what do we get wrong? And the guy goes, this is my first week. He says, well, I love the show, but since you mentioned it, you know how every one of your episodes begins with a dead body, and then we solve the murder of the woman who was raped and murdered? I go, yeah, that's how they start. He goes, technically that would go to homicide. We don't cover those cases. He said, SVU, the problem for us is the victim is alive, her body is a crime scene. What happens to her after she's been victimized is a re-victimization. A lot of times the cop who does the first intake is completely insensitive. I see why you don't do those episodes, because it's really unpleasant for the woman, and it's a horrible thing to put people through. And then most of the time they don't get justice. And I thought, well, that's our show. And that was the big change for me, to tell those stories. My dad was a jazz trumpet player for his entire career. When you pick up a trumpet, it's your whole life playing through your horn. It's under your fingers, but it's your soul coming through. When we're doing our job right on a TV show, even a police procedural, it's people's life stories coming through. Human experience is a different thing than ones and zeros.
Thank you so much for watching our video. If you'd like to see more stories like this one, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel to get more Perfect Union in your feed. And if you have any ideas for stories that you would like for us to investigate, just drop them in the comments below.